Our economy is fueled by dynamic workplaces where the impossible becomes possible, where individuals reach their full potential. SHRM impacts the lives of 115 million workers and their families every day. And together, we can build a world of work that works for all. That is our vision: to advocate for better policies, elevate human resources, and develop stronger managers. Still, the workplace needs work. By creating better workplaces, we are truly creating a better world. One person can cause an effect. One person in HR can challenge outdated hiring practices, champion modern benefits, advocate for pay equity, and turn jobs into careers. HR empowers others to not only dream of change, but to create it. The actions of a few affect the lives of many. Join SHRM today to cause the effect you wish to see in the workplace.
Our folks here have over 20 plus years experience. We provide two main areas: Express Requests, which is a compilation of all various topics. You can actually save a lot of time by asking one of our advisors to do some research for you, to bounce off an idea, to find out latest current employer practices.
We talk about every topic imaginable under the umbrella of human resources. Among the most popular would be the Family and Medical Leave Act, the exemption status, questions about the salary basis. The questions go on and on. We could talk about many more of them. And if you want to do that, don't forget one of the prime benefits of being a SHRM member, the HR Knowledge Center.
Hello and welcome to the second annual Better Workplaces Challenge Cup. My name is Hadiel Altashi. I am a senior specialist at SHRM Labs, SHRM's Workplace Innovation Hub and Venture Capital arm. I'm excited to be your host today. Thank you for joining us, everyone, this evening. A special thanks to Austin SHRM, our co-host for this segment. Please help me in welcoming to the stage Jennifer Charles, President of Austin SHRM, who will be sharing a few words with us.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of Austin SHRM, we would like to welcome you to this local competition. Austin SHRM knows the value and effort that you've placed into this competition, and we wish you all great success in your presentation. If you're in the Central Texas area and are looking for a professional network, please consider becoming a part of Austin SHRM. We're a great community.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jennifer. So today we are facing so many challenges from remote work, skill shortage, mental health, and of course, the Great Resignation. But we are also seeing these challenges driving innovation like never before in the workforce and the workplace tech. The Better Workplace Challenge Cup was established to highlight those exciting innovations. This competition is designed to find the innovators that are solving the most critical workplace challenges. And this year, this competition is going global. We are dedicating upcoming segments to feature workplace tech innovators in Europe, Latin America, Middle East, Africa, and across Asia Pacific. So this is how the competition works. For some of you, you already know how it goes. This is the fourth of 10 first round segments of the competition. The top 2 companies from today's competition will advance to the 2 semifinal rounds. From the 2 semifinal rounds, 4 companies will advance to the finals, which will be held at our SHRM's annual conference, the largest HR gathering of the largest gathering of HR professionals. And this year it's happening in the New Orleans. So in addition to the recognition and exposure that all these different innovators are getting during the annual conference, the winner is going to take home $50,000, which is awesome. So today you will hear from 7 very exciting startups. Each company will provide 3-minute pitches, and afterwards they will have Q&A with our judges. The criteria in which these startups will be judged on are based on 3 things. The first thing is, will this business grow to positively impact the lives of millions of employees? The second thing is, will this business create better workplaces where employees and employers can thrive together? And third, will this business provide value to SHRM members by helping them becoming more efficient and strategic? So once the pitches are completed, the judges will deliberate and choose the 2 top companies that will move forward to the semifinals. Please note, for our SHRM members that are attending today, that this event qualifies for 2 PDCs toward your SHRM certification. We will provide the code at the end of the event. So let's get started. Please help me in welcoming the judges for today. We have Jennifer Charles, who you've heard from a little earlier, president of Austin SHRM and director of HR at St. Edward's University. We have Billy Wright, president-elect of Austin SHRM and vice president of people operations at Aneva. And we have Odette Perez, who's the co-vice president of Austin SHRM and senior business development at LK Jordan and Associates. Thank you so much, judges, for being part of our event today. And now let's go ahead and get started with the presentations. Please welcome to the stage the first contestant, Cheesy.
Hey y'all, my name is Toby Egbuna. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Chezi. Our vision is to create the most inclusive workplaces on earth. Let's get started with the problem. So simply put, companies are really struggling to retain their diverse talents. And one of their key retention strategies, these internal communities that they have for women, for Black people, et cetera, often called employee resource groups, they have no visibility into how effective those groups are being. They don't have any metrics or any data about them. The why now, we're all very familiar with the Great Resignation. 23% of employees are going to seek new employment in 2022. Companies are really struggling to retain their diverse talent, and ERGs can and should be, I think, the very centerpiece of those retention strategies, but they need data to know what's working and to know just metrics about how impactful the groups actually are. So that's where Chezi comes in. We are an end-to-end ERG management solution. We give companies data on membership, engagement, budget, events, et cetera, so they know what's working, what's not working with the ERGs, and so they can gather that information much more seamlessly and focus on building these inclusive communities. So the way it works is very simple. So say with SHRM's portal, it would be shrm.chezi.co. People would sign in. They choose which ERGs they want to join. Upon joining, they would provide a little bit more information so they identify as an ally or in-group member, and then talk about what they wanted to get out of joining, what areas they were willing to support. And then on the back end, the DEI team, the ERG leaders have access to membership data, and they can see, how many allies we have in the Pride ERG, how many people signed up versus attended the last Black History Month event that we did. Just giving them this data that can take as many as 15 hours for them to gather a week. Just giving it to them seamlessly and easily for them to be able to access. Our business model, we are B2B SaaS. We are really targeting the small to medium-sized enterprises. That's generally between 500 to 2,000 employees. We do have 3 paying customers right now. That's Chegg, Huge, and Ripple. And our pricing, I can talk a little bit more about it, but it is just tiered. So it starts at $1,000 a month and works its way up per $500 based on the size of the company. In terms of where we're going, we're really focused right now on building out our full stack product. Not to get too technical, but our app right now is built in no code, which is great for us being able to iterate and kind of launch quickly, but it doesn't serve some of the needs that a lot of the enterprise customers that we're talking to actually have. So That's what we're focused on right now. That's what the prize money from this will go towards. Our MRR is about at 4,500, and we have a number of companies in the pipeline that kind of fit that bill in terms of what the normal company we're targeting is. Lastly is our team. My sister Jumabi and I launched Chezi together in June 2020, excuse me. We are first generation Nigerian immigrants. Chezi is the Igbo word for reflect. We just believe that companies need to do some self-reflection and figure out if the work that they're doing for DEI is having the impact that they want it to have. And I think more than our experience, more than the work that we've had with ERGs, we have felt this problem, and we believe that we are the best people to solve it because we have that emotional and personal connection to it, and we're determined to kind of see this through. So again, my name is Toby Egbuna. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Chezi, and happy to open up to any questions now.
Thanks, Toby. Great presentation. So let's get started with the questions. Jennifer, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Toby. That DEI is really near and dear to my heart. I love the way that you included the metrics that so many companies are lacking right now. I definitely think it answers the call. What do you foresee as maybe an opportunity for that companies can take advantage of when it comes to DEI, and what maybe if they're not using ERGs currently?
Oh, Toby, could you unmute?
Yep, sorry about that. So the question is, what are some alternative ways that companies can use their ERGs if they're not using them right now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny, we actually before we even got to the idea for this ERG management solution, what we wanted to do was basically create a platform where people that are interested in a specific job, maybe are in the final round of interviews or something like that, can kind of interact with the people inside of an ERG before they accept the offer. Because if you think about it, employee resource groups are intended to be this way for Black people or women or veterans or whatever to kind of network with each other once they're already at the company. But it could be a great way for me to, as a Black person, to kind of find my tribe of Black people at SHRM or at Facebook or Google. And then once I have that tribe, decide that this is the right company for me. But they're pretty locked off if you're not already within the company. So I think there's just generally an opportunity for companies to involve their ERGs with recruiting more. And obviously ERGs are generally more set up for specific demographic groups, the kind of groups that companies are trying really actively to recruit right now. And that's kind of how we think about it. And that's definitely a product and kind of a feature that we plan on launching. It's 100% on our roadmap for the next kind of evolution of Chezi. But that would be my answer, is just involving employee resource groups more into the recruiting and building out referral programs and things like that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for that question, Jennifer. Billy, do you want to go next?
Sorry about that. I was on mute. Hi, Chezi. As someone who has worked like Jennifer in DEI and just about every year for my 25-year HR profession, I know that ERG groups they are one of the most difficult to really focus in on the purpose of what that group is and not making it like an affinity group. Mm-hmm. And that it becomes more of the intent in creating allyship. So from your perspective, and me coming from a place to where we have ERGs in my own organization, what makes you the unicorn, so to speak, in providing this type of service to organizations? If an organization comes back and say, hey, we got all of that at our disposal now, what makes you so unique and that unicorn that would make me want to go with Chezi?
Yeah, great question. I think, one, it's very rare that we've seen that a company even has a lot of data about their ERGs now. Most of them just kind of manage them in Slack or Teams or distribution lists or Google Docs and things like that. But if a company was to have that information, I think the next question is, how are you measuring, how would you define return on investment for your ERGs? Mm-hmm. We define it as basically being able to say that people in employee resource groups are 10% more likely or 15% or 20% more likely to stay at your company. Because the goal, we think, is creating a sense of belonging so people stay. The problem that we're trying to solve is retention. And very few companies, I think, most companies don't even have the baseline data about it. Very few companies would have the ties to your HR systems, to your ATSs, to your people management, people performance systems to know how people are performing in terms of retention, in terms of promotions, things like that. I think that's where we're taking our product, is not even just to be somewhere where people can join and leave ERGs and see events and stuff, but something that lives on top of the systems that HR teams, that DEI teams are already using to benefit their employees, specifically the diverse employees. So we can make that draw and give you that data for you, right? To be able to say that your ERGs, for example, being able to say like people in your Black ERG, 10% of them got promoted, and then you have a couple of Black people that aren't in your ERG, only 5% of them got promoted, right? Just being able to kind of give companies those metrics. So that's how I think we become a unicorn, is not only is basically be able to say that people in ERGs are more likely to get promoted, not just being able to say that, but people that are companies that have ERGs that are managed by Chezi specifically have employees that are more likely to get promoted. I think once we can make that statement, then I don't want to say it becomes like a no-brainer for companies, but it's a lot easier for us to kind of build up that path towards being a unicorn.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Odette?
Hi, Toby. I really love your plan and your business model. I'm looking at it more from a business perspective instead of a statistics perspective.
Yeah.
So when you're a company and you're looking to inquire more about a platform, I guess like the major thing is it user friendly? Are you having like that $1,000 a month? Is that going to include training for the employees? How are we gonna, we're gonna buy this platform, but are you gonna come in and train us? Are you gonna keep in touch with us every week, showing us different reports? Does that include a chat system available to the employee to make sure that they're doing it correctly? So those are my questions more from a logistics standpoint, because I want to be sold on the platform. Like I love everything that you're doing with the data, but I want to be sold on the platform. Buying a platform is very expensive. So, what are the benefits? Is it, definitely, does it have an easy flow? Is it user friendly? Am I going to be able to explain this to employees?
Yeah, I mean, I think the benefit for our platform is that there are kind of two groups of users, right? There is the everyday employee that is basically just signing on with the single sign-on, is picking whichever groups that they want to join and then joining. That's pretty straightforward. It's 4 clicks and you're in and out, and then you're good. And then from there, we can track how engaged they are, how they're responding to calendar invites, if they're joining meetings, that sort of thing. But they don't actually need to come back into the platform. The second group of people are the admins and the leads, right? So the DEI managers that oversee all of the groups, and someone that's maybe a lead for a women's ERG or a Black ERG. Those people are the ones that are coming back, and we do hold hour-long or 2-hour-long onboarding sessions with those leads to kind of train them on how to create your first group, how to schedule an event, how to request approval on events, how to download an attendance report, stuff like that. And then the benefit of being a small startup, and I think our customers, Chegg, for example, our first customer has kind of seen this, is that they have direct access to me and to our technical team. So if they have any questions, if they need any support, they just reach out directly to me, and then we're able to pretty quickly, especially because of having built-in no code, we're able to pretty quickly fix issues or resolve issues. So, it's generally in the sales process, once we get to the point where we're making a proposal, it's something that we outline is the launch time for this for us on our end is about 7 days. It does come with a dedicated training session. We also record the sessions and make them available, and then we have help documentation as well that companies can utilize. But our platform is pretty simple, pretty user friendly. From what we've been able to see, that's one of the benefits that people have kind of. That's one of the things that has drawn people to the platform, is that it is very simple. It's not very convoluted software that we, like a lot of maybe other tools that HR teams or DEI teams are using.
And you hit some like buzzwords that are really so big this past year, which is retention. How do we retain? How do we keep employees happy? How do we move forward keeping the same staff? So I really like what you guys have come up with. It's a really innovative platform.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, judges. We will let the judges take their notes. In the meantime, Toby, how can people find out more about Chezi, get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, so we are www.chezi.co or Chezi HQ, at Chezi HQ on Instagram. And, for anyone out there that is managing an ERG, that's leading an ERG, we have a bunch of content that you can check out, an ERG toolkit, a bunch of templates. Those have been really popular that people can kind of use to launch ERGs, to recap events, to request applications for leads, that sort of thing. But yeah, if you're managing ERG and you've some of these pain points identified with you, like spending hours on hours updating distribution lists or adding people to Slack channels, we love to have a conversation. So you can contact me at toby@chesney.co. Or my sister dumaybe@chesney.co, but or you can go online and request a demo. But yeah, that's
perfect.
That's
awesome. Thank you so much, Toby, for the excellent presentation, and thanks for the judges. We're going to move on to the next contestant. Please help me welcome Job Sage.
Hi, I'm Kelly Mason, and along with my co-founders, we created JobSage to help employers recruit and retain the right talent and to help job seekers find workplaces where they can thrive. According to CNBC, 73% of job seekers would not apply to a company unless the company's culture and values aligned with those of the job seeker. Unfortunately, it's hard to uncover that information, especially for job seekers from underrepresented backgrounds who are less likely to have an inside connection at a company. And as employers, you know that hiring candidates with misaligned expectations is only going to lead to turnover and low morale. I've been there as both a head of HR and a job seeker. Our mission at JobSage is to help employers and employees thrive together. We do this by partnering directly with companies to send an anonymous survey to 100% of their current employees. Our survey asks employees to review their employer on 5 factors proven to drive employee engagement, noting that candidates from different backgrounds and life stages might weigh each factor differently. Finally, we ask employees to share their demographic information to help provide job seekers with more context. HR teams that use JobSage are more efficient as they're able to recruit candidates more quickly and retain new hires longer, saving hours of time previously spent filling and backfilling roles. Our early clients, like Spot Insurance, are already spreading the word for us on LinkedIn to more quickly fill their roles with candidates who will thrive there. HR teams that use JobSage are also more strategic. Using JobSage's change over time data, HR teams can begin to better evaluate the ROI of different investments into the employee experience. Our data helps you quantify things like, did introducing that new employee resource group improve feelings of inclusion? How did the manager training we invested in affect employee reviews of our feedback culture? Finally, JobSage is a business that will be able to grow to positively affect the lives and work of millions of employees. In just a few months after launching, we've received hundreds of reviews on dozens of companies, officially partnered with 15 companies and growing every week, and seen traffic to the site skyrocket. We've also raised over $600,000 in funding from angel investors and strategic advisors who believe in our mission and potential. People spend 1/3 of their lives at work. Changing jobs can be frightening, but staying put is sometimes more damaging. JobSage is creating honest, accessible conversations about what it's really like to work somewhere. We're on a mission to help people around the world find workplaces where they can thrive and to help HR departments attract and retain informed candidates and engaged employees. We'd love for SHRM to be an official part of our journey. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly, for that presentation, and welcome to the stage. So let's get started with the questions. Let's start with you, Belly.
Hi, Kelly. Great presentation. Got a great voice. You had a great voice.
Thank you.
So in thinking about your tool that you're offering there, how is this tool with JobSage, how is it different than a traditional employee engagement survey or an exit or a stay interview? How is that different than what you're offering now?
Yeah, well, I think it's similar, and one of the reasons that it fits under the efficient pillar of this challenge in particular, and just in, everyone's looking for efficiency, you're able to use this as both your internal employee engagement survey, and also because it's public facing, you're able to use it to attract the right candidates. So it is similar to an engagement survey. You're asking similar type questions, you're getting demographic information, but then you're also letting JobSage publish it. So if you go on jobstage.com, you can see all of these reviews, the same things that the HR team is seeing, candidates are seeing, and it's helping them make their decisions, and it's helping HR and recruiting teams more efficiently attract the right candidates.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Odette, let's go with you.
Odette, I can't hear you. Oh, there you are.
Oh, okay. So, hi, nice to meet you, Kelly. So, something that I keep hearing is more efficient recruiting, more efficient recruiting. Can you go into detail about how you're going to make recruiting more efficient for companies?
Yes, for sure. And I know you've got a business development background, and so I was just talking to a sales advisor who gave me this analogy that I loved about qualifying people in and qualifying them out. And I think with recruiting, if you are, for example, a candidate who really needs flexibility, you need to be home at 5 p.m. every day. You don't want to get to the end of the process, get your offer letter, and then tell them or find out that this is a really inflexible workplace. We're working till 9 p.m. We're working nights and weekends. That's wasting time for the recruiting team. That's wasting time for the candidate. And so what we're really trying to do is provide this transparency. So up front, this is a place that has great professional growth, but bad flexibility, or it has, great inclusion, but it doesn't really have a sense of purpose. And then you as a candidate can decide, like, this is the place for me. I'm going to take the time to, apply, go through the phone screen, go through the interview process, or you can say, I'm not going to, this actually isn't the place for me. And so that's going to help the recruiting team save time, be more efficient about who they're talking to, who they're preparing offer letters for, only to get your offer letters rejected. And then on the retention side, it's also going to help you retain your candidates or your new hires, because they know what they're getting into. They know what to expect in a way that, right now they don't really have access to.
Thank you so much. I love that.
Awesome. Jennifer?
Yeah, that's amazing, Kelly. Absolutely. I think you're answering a call to what a lot of employers have experienced this past year with the Great Resignation. So with your platform, I know I heard you talk about how quickly employers are able to fill positions. Do you have data on what the time to fill is?
Not yet. I'm so excited to get that data. So we launched in September, and we have 15 beta clients who are, we're holding their hands, right? We've just built it. And our hope is that we're going to start getting those case studies of, we're asking them to start tracking if they haven't tracked already, so that they can then say, this is where we were when we started with JobStage, and then this is where we are, 6 months later. So hopefully very soon we should be able to get that data.
Wonderful. So we'll let the judges take their notes. In the meantime, Kelly, how can we reach you, learn more about JobStage?
Yeah, so you can go to jobstage.com. Really encourage you to check it out. It's super easy to sign up. There's a contact link, and we just verify obviously that you're an actual company. But yeah, you can go to jobstage.com, go to the contact page, reach out to us, and we can get your company onboarded. We send a unique survey link so that we can verify everyone who's submitting a review actually is a verified current employee. So happy and excited to hopefully get some interest.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly, for your time. Great presentation. We'll move along with our third contestant for this evening, qualified Darian Michael.
Hi, everybody. My name is Darian Michael. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Qualify, the company that's powering the fastest phone interview experience in the world. Every year, recruiters spend hundreds of millions of hours simply screening candidates. And at Qualify, we've solved this problem for hundreds of recruiters and their tens of thousands of job seekers already. Traditional phone interviews are important, but they're actually the biggest bottleneck in recruitment. Between the scheduling and one-by-one calls with potentially hundreds of candidates, teams miss out on the best talent that's off the market faster. They allow for a slow experience, leaving candidates feeling anxious and frustrated, and they cause burnout with the recruiters because of the monotony and the busy work. So Qualify gives these recruiters superpowers, allowing them to phone screen multiple candidates simultaneously while offering a more convenient, accessible, and less biased interview experience for those candidates. We enable recruiters to pre-record questions using their own voice to create personal yet structured interviews. Then they're really able to scale by inviting and interviewing hundreds of candidates even on the same day they apply. And even the least tech-savvy candidates highly rate this easy experience that's convenient to their schedule. When they receive the email or text invite, they're guided by simple instructions, and when ready, they can hit start, which triggers a call straight to their phone where they can pick up and answer questions in a conversational format over a standard phone call. Yes, even from a landline. There's no apps, there's no internet issues to worry about, and even better, there's no getting dressed up to sit in front of a webcam. It's frictionless and so easy, the majority of replies come in on the same day the invites go out. We work with some of the best companies in the country, from small businesses to Fortune 500s, especially companies experiencing high volume. And those teams have been able to knock a week off their time to hire, engage with 7 times more candidates, get back 2 hours per day per recruiter, and just as importantly, enhance their candidate experience, as over 90% of candidates positively rate their experience through Qualify. Qualify was born out of pain points that my brother and I experienced recruiting in past jobs. For me, scaling a company from 2 to 70 employees in under 3 years, and my brother recruiting in high turnover industries like food and senior health. We matched that industry know-how with the technical expertise of our co-founders who have built out and scaled enterprise technologies, including telephony systems. In over 2021, we've been on an absolute roll. Beyond scaling our monthly revenue by over 6x in under a year, we've added super talented individuals to our team, including advisors like the global head of talent strategy at GE Healthcare and an HR tech CEO who sold his recent company to Indeed. And we've attracted top investors like Techstars and Rally Ventures. And that's all because we've been able to serve more customers and make their lives better. Hundreds of recruiters and tens of thousands of candidates agree Qualify is a must-have solution uniquely positioned to help recruiters create an experience that is convenient, equitable, and helps them hire critical staff faster than ever before.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Darian, for that presentation, and congratulations on your successes to date. So we'll get started here. Let's see. Let's start with Odette with your question. I like to switch it up every now and then. Keep you guys on your toes.
The vibe coming. How is Qualify? How does it make it more equitable for clients?
Yeah, so just inherently through the structure of how we conduct, or how our clients are able to conduct interviews through Qualify, there's that built-in structure. So I'm sure people, you guys and people watching are familiar with the practice of structured interviewing, asking essentially the same questions to every candidate. That's what's baked into our platform. So one, it's audio based. There's no visual component. So we're not focused on, what the candidate looks like or where they're at, what their environment is, or their internet issues. It's really focused on just what they're saying, their answers to those questions. Every candidate is going to get the same exact experience through Qualify. So again, the same questions asked the same exact way, even the slightest word change from one candidate to another could lead to different results in terms of what those candidates respond to. And so we're ensuring that there's that consistency at the top end and helping to, at this specific step in the process, make sure there's that consistency and structure built in. And we definitely have plans for adding more features to help mitigate bias even further, but out of the box, that's already what you get.
Awesome. Thank you.
Jennifer, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm curious, how are the interviews rated? Who determines if candidate goes on from the phone interview?
Yeah, so we're a SaaS platform. We offer this to our clients, and they're the ones that go in and record their questions. They invite their candidates, and then ultimately they're the ones that are reviewing and reviewing and rating their candidates. We definitely have the interest to help provide insights and do things to help, ensure better quality as well as more efficiency in terms of the actual ratings as well. But yeah, they're the ones that are using the tool that we provide.
Billy?
Yeah. First, I love your presentation, and I work in a tech industry. So having a phone call reach out to 20 people for one job would be like a dream come true. So I love that visual that you provided. But my question for you, Darian, is how do you measure success in this? What is your placement rate for companies that use your tool? And if this tool is doing the initial screening for them, do you have metrics to capture if people were hired through the use of your tool?
Yeah, so there's a couple questions there. One, we don't currently have we have integrations, but currently not the access to understand, essentially what happens after the interview. We're looking to build that out further and start to be able to provide those sorts of insights, because we at least have the hypothesis that going through Qualify leads to ultimately better results, not just more efficient results. And so we want to be able to start to tell that story as well. Success, though, looks different to different individuals, different recruiters, and different teams ultimately. So to give you a variance, we have one client that saw a severe dip in their no-show rate. So they were previously seeing 50% no-shows from their screens to their next step in their hiring process. And after introducing Qualify, it dropped down to 7%. So that is a success story that, one, we weren't really expecting, but others are generally centered around throughput. For instance, being able to go from 6 screens a day per recruiter to 50 screens a day is an example of a success story that we have as well. So they're different, and we try to discover that when we're talking with them through the sales process, and then when we pass over to customer success to have that relationship going forward. So
okay, thank you.
Awesome. I just want to comment and say that I'm loving these questions, judges. So great job with the questions. And I'll let you guys take your notes here. Darian, how can people find out more about Qualify and get in touch with you?
Yeah, reach out to us. Our website is Qualify, obviously spelled with an I, qualify.hr. So it should be pretty easy to find us there. Or you can email us at contact@qualify.hr. Really present on LinkedIn as well. So we'd love to connect with you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Darian, for sharing your solution with us and being part of this. So we're going to move on to the fourth contestant of today's event. We have PeopleWork next.
I'm Kim Kelly, and over the past 25 years, I've grown a career to be known as the CEO's blind side. And what I've seen is every single software solution and the hefty price tag that comes with it in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I realize we have a serious problem. PeopleWork is a technology company that builds software as a solution and mobile applications. Our mission is to change the way that we approach our working world by bringing it into the digital era. We start by changing how the talent approach getting a job. The job seeker downloads the free app and gets to create a profile and define their work brand. This goes beyond just describing their skills and trying to be judged on maybe what they haven't had an opportunity to do yet or past experiences, but lets them communicate their aspirations, their work ethic, and their attitude toward work so that employers know what they're all about behind a piece of paper. They get to also have the opportunity to up their credibility and authenticity with additional services. A good perk, but definitely not a requirement, is to get them involved with a coach who has lived the working experience to help them kind of sort out what could be confusing if they're trying to search for information or maybe aren't getting the guidance, but more importantly, help them refine what it is they want in a job to find the matches that actually matter to them. while the talent is somewhere creating their talent profile in the other side of the universe. Some employer is busy creating their employer profile to really create a story around their employer brand, what they stand for, and what they're really looking for in a candidate to match with the job. Employers simply plug in the criteria, post their job, and are only charged when they get a match. After they've received a match, they get to review as many matches as they'd like until that job is filled for one fee. We are using 14 points of data to match employers with great candidates. Our approach to making the work connection isn't just about simple algorithms. It's about making better human connections. What we think is really cool is that employers can track their people performance as well as our performance so that they have confidence that we've done our job. No searching, just matching. From introduction to hired. No more ghosting. Just swipe left or swipe right if you're interested. No more scrape it till you fake it impact to the job market. Just total transparency and authenticity, creating a connection to match jobs, gigs, and on-demand shifts for employers and the people wanting to work. Pretty cool, right?
Love the energy, Kim. Well, thank you for being here and thanks for the presentation. Let's get started with the questions. Let's start with Jennifer.
Okay. Hello, Kim. I appreciate that. That's a really innovative idea. I guess my question is, when it comes to your platform, are there any integrations with, it sounds very much like an applicant kind of tracking, but matching. Are there any integrations to do like a full cycle of recruiting, or is it merely just the applications and matching?
Actually, we are a full suite technology solution. We will replace 13 to 17 existing legacy software solutions. And by doing so, we actually reduce the cost per hire. We reduce the administrative lag in terms of multiple integrations to languages that systems and languages that don't necessarily naturally speak to each other. And we also are able to create some, what we call is the return on investment in terms of time, because everything is fully automated from sourcing all the way to job offer.
Wonderful.
Billy?
Hi, Kim. And thank you for that presentation. It was a great presentation. So I'm a data person. I always have been in HR. We always, you got to follow the numbers. So my question to you is, how are you tracking whether your placement or your match rate in terms of hiring? And also to have a second question too. You have a huge portfolio of services that's offered in this in your presentation. Are you thinking about enlarging the portfolio you have now, or are you doing research behind it to say, well, maybe this tool is not being utilized as much. Maybe we don't need this as part of our portfolio?
Both are very interesting questions. So my first one is all about the results and the data, the output of whether or not our technology, our processes, and our services are, one, really creating a differentiation, really creating the social impact, and really creating the results from a business perspective. And our customers get to see that right when they come in. We have a KPI dashboard that pretty much says, what was your cost per hire before you came to us? What was your cost per hire on a monthly, weekly, and yearly interval? You can actually break it down by sourcing partner or hiring manager. So you can actually identify maybe one certain recruiter is having more of a challenge than another, or a particular role is having higher turnover than another. So you have some information that you can proactively respond to in order to improve both your stickiness as well as the rate of churn that you're having on particular jobs. And we have our, what we call is our stickiness, and the stickiness is only an applicable KPI if our customers keep the entire match experience from beginning to end inside of our system. So I think Jennifer actually mentioned something. We're really not an applicant tracking system because we're not a data engine. We're really about the people experience between the company hiring and the person looking for the job. So we prefer people not to take out personal and identifiable information outside of our system. Multiple reasons for that. We can API, and we do have some customers that are just like, I'm addicted to my ATS and I love it. And we can certainly do that at a certain stage. But going back to that metric about stickiness, we have feedback loops already built in for both the candidate post-hire and actually post-application to give feedback on, did the job, was the job what I thought it was the company what they sold themselves to be, and then vice versa for the recruiter, so that the talent actually gets feedback for once. I mean, I don't know too many systems that actually give the candidate an opportunity to get feedback. Did you have the skills that you committed to? Were you able to interview and answer questions articulately? So just basically yes or no, so that both sides of the equation do get that. But then that goes to that stickiness rate. We have 30, 60, 90-day measures. We've been asked to do 120 days as well. So we're just starting that phase. And then we also have our social impact measures. That's an additional buy-up because we take those measurements after the candidate actually gets matched and hired to the job. What we're really proud of is our blind matching process. It actually helps to reduce unconscious bias in the selection process, not to mention the fact that all of our profiles are skills, attribute, and attitude based. So resumes are typically a pre-screener and a disqualifier for most diverse groups of individuals. And so we want to make sure that we've gotten rid of that. So we have metrics around both your social impact, DE&I metrics, as well as your business. And then what gets used, what doesn't get used, yes, we assess that all day, every day to make sure that we're making innovation accessible. One of the things as a chief HR officer and somebody who was a consultant is that innovation can be expensive both in time, takes you away from your people and culture focus, and can take away from your budget. And when you are able to really tap into a tool and an ecosystem that is supposed to make innovation accessible to you, whether it's our VR capabilities or whether or not you just like the fact that it's a full stack solution, you're able to get both.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Odette? Oh, you're on mute. I think
whatever your question is, it's yes.
Did you guys get me off of mute? Yes.
Okay. Now we're good. Now we can hear you.
Sorry, I don't know how to do it. I'm sorry. But I do love this like forward thinking and definitely keeping up with the times, because this is sort of like matchmaking, but for the employer and the candidate. So my question to you is more of a culture situation. So how do you see this impacting the culture environment in offices, such as like how dating has, social dating online has impacted our culture significantly in just general ways? How do you feel like this is going to be accepted by the culture in work environments?
Well, I'll take a stab at what I think you're asking me, because we already get to feel a little bit of that in the way that I've designed the system and the services. Change management is really the name of the game, right? And it takes legacy HR processes and the comfort of being able to scrutinize people by resumes, pre-screen them, do the shuffle, like all of the legacy things that we know. It is in itself a culture shock to switch to a experience where you're evaluating people based on their human components first, and then doing your administrative review of them second. And from a culture perspective, I'm kind of air quoting that because it has changed our clients' vocabulary around what they use to identify somebody's potential. And our feedback from our talent comes back that way. It says, this was the first time I actually thought I was reviewed for my potential versus my potential in terms of my attribute and abilities, not my career aptitude. But I got to be seen for me, and I didn't get opted or screened out of consideration. I got opted and screened in. So that in itself is a pretty phenomenal culture change from a big picture perspective. And then once those candidates then become hires, you see a whole different mix coming into your workplace because you had that unconscious bias already help you move into a different way of viewing and considering candidates. So your culture is changing because your workforce is changing organically, and you didn't have to expose your company to adverse selection or racial targeting or profiling, which is causing another kind of issue today. So you're just like this, you went from maybe a homogenous group or very typical hires to, like, I've got this whole widespread of people that look, walk, talk, think, and act differently. And that diversity is really impacting culture after the hire.
Yes. And my next question, you just answered it, because it would be like, how do you sell this to generations that are not familiar with this type of candidate selection? And you just answered it. It's creating more of a diversity without exclusion. So I really, really like it.
Awesome. Thank you, judges, for the questions. We'll let you take notes. In the meantime, Kim, how can everybody get in touch with you, get in touch with PeopleWork?
Well, one, you spell PeopleWork phonetically on the internet, which is PeopleWerk. In case you didn't know, that's how we spelled it. So it's just literal phonetic of PeopleWork. Kim at peoplework.com. And of course, we've got a lot of support team that are available to you on LinkedIn. Just search us and we'll be able to answer any questions that you have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kim, for the presentation and for your time and being part of this competition. We're going to move forward with our fifth contestant for this evening, Q Change, James Kelly.
Hello, I'm James Kelly, CEO of Q Change. Would you set sail across the Pacific Ocean using only a compass? Probably not, but that is happening with your leadership and culture initiatives. As HR leaders, you set the direction and check in periodically. At Q Change, we are that GPS system that keeps your programs going in the right direction with real-time notifications and continuous feedback. But let me give you an example by introducing you to Aisha. Aisha is one of 60 million knowledge workers in the U.S. Aisha loves development opportunities, but struggles to put them into action in the flow of work. And this is where Q Change partners with HR and their development partners to capture leadership signals at scale. Our leadership experience solution comprises 45 power skill areas. It prompts, measures, grows, and predicts Aisha's development in the flow of work using collaboration tools like Microsoft Teams and meetings as the place where Aisha shows up the most often. Now, recently, Aisha completed a DEI&B program and was excited to use Q Change to make the learning stick. Aisha focused on inclusive leadership and is sent a nudge 3 minutes before her team meeting. Now, our solution is pretty smart, and it knows that this is the best place for Aisha to practice this behavior. Immediately after the meeting, Aisha's asked a simple question: did you act with inclusion? At the same time, those individuals Aisha invited to help her grow are asked, did you see Aisha act with inclusion? In real time, Aisha receives an anonymous aggregate perception gap card. And Aisha, well, she can request written feedback. And when that feedback is impactful, Aisha can send gratitude to that unidentified individual with a click of a button, creating these cycles of giving that reverberate across the organization. Aisha can follow her development over time and receive her leadership report card. This gives Aisha a real-time proactive self-awareness mirror. And by capturing leadership signals like these at scale, Q Change positively impacts millions of Aishas across thousands of organizations with meaningful data on their power skills. In Q Change, well, we support HR by providing real-time data on its initiatives to drive organizational excellence. We help HR answer some pretty big questions. For example, which content from leadership initiatives is positively impacting leaders' power skills? Does your DEI&B program have long-term stickiness? And where is leadership thriving across the organization? Q Change helps organizations make faster human capital decisions with real-time data. And we give SHRM members and HR professionals a real-time tool they can use to measure the impact of their programs and partners. I'm James Kelly, CEO of Q Change, where we provide... Oops.
Thanks for the presentation. James, and thanks for being part of the program and being here with us today. So let's get started and ask the questions. Billy, should we start with you? Are you all set?
I watched them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start with you.
Yeah. Hi, James.
Hello.
Hey, you got the name of the astronaut, so that's easy to remember.
I was going to comment that I'm not actually related to Kim either. So just to be clear.
Okay, good clarification. My question for you is, you have a lot of data there, and one question I want to ask is, what is your participation benchmark average, if you have that data?
From what capacity? Do you mean from a user capacity, from finishing the whole experience capacity? From what? Yeah.
From a user perspective.
So are you asking how many users we have?
And what's your average benchmark? So if you're selling this product to me, I'm gonna ask, what's your average user rate for people that are using this tool? And because if I'm gonna use it, I want to make sure that I got a great audience or a great participation rate for it. So what's your user participation rate for your tool?
So if I'm understanding your question correctly, you're asking basically how many clients do we have and how many users do we have? That's what I'm saying.
Because it's a huge tool to use just from looking at the data and the feedback. So I'm thinking for myself, if I were to use this tool, how would I use this tool with so many data points that are in it? And looking at it from that perspective.
So from a user perspective, we do really well attaching to programs. So our go-to-market is with partners. So for example, our largest partnership is with a coaching organization out of Australia called IECL. So we partner with them to work with them to amplify their coaching experience. So today, when you look at our go-to-market and you look at our traction and users, we are about 70 users, leaders that use our system, but each leader has about 10 influencers. So at scale, that grows really quick from that perspective. And the way that our solution works from a metric perspective is we look at how many nudges are sent, then how many people are self-assessing, and then getting other assessment, and then getting written feedback. So it's like a triangle, if you will, inverted triangle. So we get a lot more of the self-assessment and then team assessment, and then it gets whittled down, which is natural, right? When you get all the way down to gratitude, to having less gratitude sent in that cycle.
So how would this, I got a follow-up question to that. Yeah. So how would this be different in a 360 feedback tool?
So great question. So a 360, we love this question, by the way. A 360 typically is a snapshot in time. It's you going to find those people around you, or you and your organization or HR leaders saying, hey, Joe Schmo, go get this 360 done. The problem is that you get it. What do you do next? Right? So next is typically gets put in your drawer because you're not sure how to make these action items. So the strength of our solution is really predicated on taking things like coaching, DEI and B programs, leadership development programs, 360s, and moving them from a moment in time to an experience in the day. So if you were to look at just the notion of learning, most learning happens at the bottom of the pyramid, which is about 10 to 15% retention after 14 days. But we're at the experience side. So we're at the 70% side because we're creating emotions in the moment by that tension of behavior. How do I see myself? How others see me?
Okay. Thank you for that.
Awesome. Odette, do you want to go next?
Sure. I know you touched on SHRM. So a question I have is, how is this going to help SHRM members become more efficient within their HR network or within their company?
Sure. I guess the way I would answer that question is, if you have a depth of understanding of the power skills across your organization, you're going to be more efficient in selection, more efficient in hiring in terms of with internal hiring. You're going to be more efficient in course correcting programs. So the big gap often is you run a program, you don't know the success of it till after it's done, 3, 6, 12, 18 months later. So our solution makes you more efficient to make better strategic choices at a much quicker rate, which means your ROI goes up because you're spending your money more wisely over time.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Jennifer?
Yeah, absolutely. So James, wonderful presentation. I'm curious, it seems very similar to communication tools that I've used in the past and talent management systems, like Billy mentioned, the 360 interview. Are there any integrations possible with the platform that you're currently using to maybe include or integrate with a communication tool that the company's already using? or
for
time
example, like
management.
Slack or
Mhm.
Teams, or
Yes.
so we're fully embedded in Teams. So we are where work happens, and that's really important. I want to clarify the 360 because I think that's a really important question. We don't see ourselves there. We see ourselves as an amplifier of that tool, but we also amplify coaching. So if you have a coach, how do you know it's sticking, right? If you have EX, how do you know they're action planning? So if you have a DEI and B program, such an important program, we're working with a Regeneron as an example. And where they really like our solution is that they want to drive inclusive leadership across the organization, but they can't typically measure that. So giving us the ability to measure that. So when we talk about integrations, today we're in Teams, Slack, G Suite are on the road, and we're working with our partners to also customize our content to be behind their firewall. So they have these signals they can capture in the flow of work.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So while the judges take their notes, James, how can people get in touch with you, learn more about QChange?
Sure. First of all, thanks for the opportunity. So at QChange, you can actually reach me at jkelley, Kelley, at qchange.com. That's the letter Q and then change. And then just connect with us on LinkedIn. We're pretty straightforward individuals. So yeah, keep it simple.
Awesome. Thanks again, James, for being part of this. And we're going to move on. I just can't believe time passes so fast. So we have the sixth contestant for this evening, PTO Genius.
Hi, I'm Ulysses Orozco, co-founder of PTO Genius. 55% of US employees don't use all their paid time off, which is crazy because paid time off is the second most requested employee benefit across all generations. And lack of work-life balance is the second leading reason why employees leave their job. And this is a very real problem because when employees don't take time off, they experience higher stress and anxiety, lower productivity, and they're more likely to burn out, disengage, or potentially get hurt while on the job. And on the company side, they're wasting nearly 5.5 weeks per year dealing with PTO-related issues and missing out on nearly $5,000 per employee per year of unrealized revenue. And companies with traditional or bank PTO policies, well, they're sitting on nearly $2,000 of PTO liability per employee, all because employees aren't taking PTO. And that's why we built PTO Genius, the first of its kind AI-powered software platform that helps companies improve key employee metrics and reduce costs while keeping employees happy, healthy, and engaged. Let me show you how it works. Our PTO Optimizer uses artificial intelligence to surface company-friendly times for employees to take off and proactively nudges them to get away. Our Employee Pulse actively monitors PTO activity to identify disengaged employees at risk of burning out and proactively nudges them to take time off, keeping employees healthy, happy, and engaged. We also track how your managers affect burnout and general employee sentiment, keeping managers accountable and boosting job satisfaction. We all know that companies who encourage vacation have happier and more engaged employees. At Genius, we inspire those employees to take time off by surfacing fun, exciting, and personalized PTO recommendations via our travel and experiences features. And for companies looking to gain that competitive edge, we make it super easy for employees to use a portion of their PTO to pay for their time away, or pay down student loans, fund retirement, or contribute to their child's college savings. So by helping companies optimize, automate, and reimagine their paid time off, we help them increase employee engagement, improve major company KPIs, but most importantly, ensure the well-being of their most precious asset, their employees. Thank you for your time.
Hello. Ulysses, can I just say that the music, everything makes me actually want to book a trip right now and go on vacation. Enjoyed the presentation. So let's get started with the Ulysses, you are on mute. Just want to flag that. There we go. I think we can hear you now. But I want to go ahead and just pass it on to the judges for their questions. So let's start with Odette.
I think you're on mute, Odette.
Now, yeah, there we go.
I don't know if I have access to take it off, but thank you. Ulysses. Okay, so my question is, everyone loves PTO, right? Everybody, employees love it. But the one major thing are the executives. Sometimes like the timing is off, or there's a huge project that came in and nobody can take off or whatever. So my question is how has it been reciprocated with, how have they accepted it on the executive team? Like, are they open to this? Are there pushbacks? Are there challenges? Because I feel like employees would love this, but what about the executive team? Are they going to love it as much?
Yeah, great question. So they do, because one of the features that we promote the most, that it's actually the most popular, is what we call a PTO optimizer. And what that does is that it goes in historically. It understands typically when people take time off. We bring in forward-facing information like who's already taking off, what kind of managers let their employees take time off, and also company ebbs and flows that come from conversations with the organization. And we make recommendations on non-disruptive times for employees to take time off.
Okay, another question I have is, what happens if they're understaffed? Is there something in your system that would allow the flexibility to like move calendars around? Because I know that understaffed companies has been a major part of our pandemic, and not many people were able to take that PTO because they didn't have enough staff. So is there something in your system that would allow tracking of that, or the flexibility to understand where they can take off?
Yeah. So there is. They don't actively manage the calendar in our system. What we do is we plug into company calendars. We understand load on the departmental level, and we also take in, for example, we have some clients in other hospitals. We take in their capacity or load statistics, they call them, and we layer that on top of our basic algorithm. And then that tells us, leading indicators as to when people can take time off.
Very good. I like it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Jennifer?
Hi, Ulysses. I'm curious. You talked about how it tracks, and so I'm hearing you say that it integrates with the calendar for companies. First question is, does it have a tool to requesting leave, or is that outside in a timekeeping system? And then the second question is, I'm really curious on how it tracks disengagement.
Yeah, so both real good questions. The first, regarding the can you request leave? You can. However, we primarily plug into company HRIS and leave management systems. So if you already have one, no problem. We just layer on top of that, and then we communicate that request that you do on our system directly into that, and that remains, the source of truth, right? And then, I'm sorry, your second question is escaping me at the moment.
How does the system track disengagement?
Oh, great question. Oh man, there's a laundry list of things. There's a patent I can forward you to that we filed, but on the very basic surface, there's things like, how frequently have I been requesting time off and being denied? When's the last time I took time off? My salary relative to other people in my department. Am I taking on more work and not getting paid more? So there's many, many, many different factors that we weigh out that then give us a final score or a prediction that we fine tune along the way that says, there's a high to medium likelihood, or medium to high likelihood, that this person might potentially be on their way to being burnt out, right? So, and going through those processes, which includes disengagement.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Billy?
So you answered one of my questions, Ulysses. Thank you, by the way. And that was whether or not your system could sync up to an HRIS. And so you answered that question. But the one other question that I had was, I think you had a screenshot of how you could use excess PTO towards, was it child care, savings and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
So how does that benefit an organization that's trying to prevent burnout if they see that that's happening, but the employees are saying, I'd rather not take the time off, I'd rather just go ahead and use it to save for my child's education. How is that addressed through your system? If the end game is really to try to prevent burnout and people not taking their PTO.
Yeah. So it really boils down to what the organizational objectives are, right? So as we've met with different companies, we understood that every company is different. So we built the technology in a very modular fashion where you can say, listen, I like these features. They really align to, the goals of our people goals, this year. These features don't, right? So you can just turn those off, right? Regarding the companies that are looking at both, they're really looking at the financial wellness in kind of two ways. One, they're thinking about things holistically, comprehensively, where they say, well, financial stressors play a key in the stress that goes into potentially burning you out, right? So they look at it holistically in that way. And some of them, look at it as a mechanism to potentially just help their employees save more for retirement or kind of do things for their own financial wellness. So they kind of look at it, from that angle. And you can control how much you want to allow that to work. So you could say, listen, only, 5% of your total PTO can go into, putting it into your retirement, and only after you've taken 10 days of PTO, right? So you could manage it very, very specifically so you don't encourage turning it into a piggy bank, which is what we don't want to do.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Ulysses. So while the judges take note here, where can people get in touch with you? And if they wanted to learn more about PTO Genius, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah, great question. You can go on ptogenius.com. It's written exactly how it's spelled. And or you can find me on LinkedIn, Ulysses, Ulises. I'm usually the first. It's such an odd name that I'm usually one of the first that comes up. So.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. And we will move on to the last contestant for this evening, and it's Qunic.
Hi, we're Liz and Josh, co-founders of Qunic, and we're on a mission to make work more human. We're doing that by creating intentional moments of connection, learning, and growth inside your organization. The result is a workplace culture that can work from anywhere for everyone. Because work's changed, and what's been lost is how we bring people together. The data here is really clear. The old ways aren't working. People want something more, they want something new. What's out there focuses on surveys, problems, not solutions, individual challenges. It doesn't bring your people together. So it's time to focus on something new and to go back to basics. From the old cigarette break down to the brand new kombucha bar, every successful culture development has one thing in common: conversation. And that's what we're all about at Qunic, getting your people talking with each other so they can bond over their similar experiences, their shared challenges, their common goals. We marry the employee experience to the employee reality, and we call it whole person support for the whole organization, because we are the bow that ties together your different departments. People aren't checkboxes, but existing structures treat them that way. Not anymore. We've flipped the script, and we work with you to co-create the solutions that break down barriers within your organization and bring people across every level of your firm together to share those intentional moments that build a thriving culture. So what's that look like, Josh?
SHRM's own data shows how critical employee morale and engagement are to HR teams, yet also show how under-resourced those same teams are. At Qunic, we're your thought and get stuff done partner. We're 1 part wedding planner, 1 part consultant, and 1 part host of the Grammys. We free up your bandwidth and amplify your capacity. Qunic conversations are two-way dialogues that your people have with each other and with vetted subject matter experts. They are not death by PowerPoint lectures. They are built on engagement and interaction of your people. And Qunic's expert network is as diverse as your people. It's constantly expanding. We enable our partners to move from having reactive to active conversations with their people about their experiences at home, at work, and anywhere in between. And importantly, the data is crystal clear that Qunic conversations work. These are averages across the hundreds of Qunic conversations that we facilitated with our partners. What's clear is that people leave feeling seen, valued, and heard. But it's also about the stuff that we can't measure. It's the smiles, it's the laughs, and yes, it's the tears that are shed in the course of a conversation. Critically, our model is scalable. We work with everyone from small nonprofits to large multinationals. And we're growing very, very quickly. 2022 bookings are already 40% in excess of 21. If you don't believe me, believe our partners. Kunik is rethinking and reshaping how companies scale and grow their culture in the future of work. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Awesome. Welcome, Liz.
Hi.
Hi. Well, thank you so much for that presentation and welcome to the stage. Let's get to it. Jennifer, let's start with you.
Thank you so much, Liz. That was a wonderful presentation. I'm curious. So it sounds like a communication platform. What makes your company different than all the other communication platforms that are out there? What is your what just makes you different from another platform like Workplace or things of that nature?
Oh yeah. So we don't actually have a platform. That's the biggest and the simplest and the quickest answer. We are not a platform. We are an extension of your team, and we feel like an extension of your company. So we don't have a platform that you need to integrate, that you need to train people on. I actually was just at a conference last week and heard a stat that people log into 20 to 30 platforms a day, which is like kind of boggles the mind, right? We're not something else you need to log into. We aren't a platform. We create the content. We bring in those experts to lead the conversations on the topics that matter to your people. So when we start, we would sit down with somebody like yourself, Jennifer, and hear, hey, what are the challenges you guys are facing? Where are the pain points? Is it onboarding new managers? Is it thinking about hybrid work? Is it thinking about team building in this new environment? Is it working with your ERGs so that they're more effective and impactful? We then decide the programming, vet, prep, and source the experts for you. We match them on two things based on the need that we heard from you and also based on your company culture. Because the person we bring into a law firm might be really different than the person we bring into frontline workers in a warehouse, even if the topic is the same. So we develop that content, we host it all, we give you all of the collateral to promote internally, we run the event, and then afterwards, we give you a video of that event, break it down into TikTok size, 90-second clip, but also the full length so that you can post that internally. And then we collect all of that data that we showed up there on the screen for you so that we can continue to iterate and improve across the future events. So no platform, no communications, all about the content around the issues that matter most to your people. And our goal through that is always making sure that everybody at your company feels valued, seen, and heard as an individual, not that they're logging into a platform, but that they have a psychologically safe space to go and discuss those challenges.
Awesome. Thanks, Liz. Billy, let's go to you.
Yeah. So, hi, Liz. I guess my
Hi.
question to you, as a follow-up to Jennifer's question, is how do you? So, as a VP of People Ops in the company that I'm in, one of the things that I'm always concerned about, because we have these little chit chats too, kind of in our group, in our organization, but not in a formalized session environment. And having that in a formalized environment, how do you regulate and maintain and set structure around if people want to have conversations around, I think I'm being harassed in the workplace? What does that look like for me if I'm going to engage with your company to say, do we set parameters up front, or what's the expectation going into this? Those kind of things is what I would want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I would say those challenges do come up. And that's something that we train and prepare all of our experts on. There's a few different things. One, how do you navigate that? Two, what are the resources existing internally in that company? Part of it is understanding what's your ecosystem at your company. What other resources do you have? Where do we want to point people? I want to be very clear that we are not medically focused. So we don't usually bring up those kind of topics that are either medical, which have their own HIPAA requirements. And in terms of things like harassment, it can come up. Absolutely. Let's say we're doing a conversation on de-escalation. Maybe we're talking about how to de-escalate difficult conversations in the workplace. And somebody says, I've been approached like this. That is part of our vetting. How do we work with the expert to appropriately handle that situation during the conversation? to do the correct one-to-one follow-up with that individual, and to connect them to the person internally, whether that's you yourself, Billy, or somebody on your team, they need to be connected with internally for follow-up on that. So when I say we vet and prep the experts, it's through that entire life cycle, because part of our goal, we know that you guys are an inch deep, mile wide, and have a lot on your plates. So we want to take as much as we possibly can off the plate of our partners, from planning those events to executing those events to following up on those events, whether that's a one-to-one conversation like that, or simply telling you, hey, Billy, here are some things that came up during that conversation that you may not be aware of. We're helping you see around the corners so that we can then help you with the follow-on conversations that come after that.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Odette?
Hi, Liz. Thank you for your presentation. My question is what are the events that you're speaking about? So like, for example, I'm a little confused because this is going to be a communication, a way to get companies to communicate with each other, but they're not communicating with each other. They're communicating with your team. Is that correct?
Yes and no. So the way that it works is this, really simple, onboarding. Let's say we sit down with you, Odette, we're working with your team, and we say, Odette, what are the biggest challenges you have coming? And you say, Liz, our leaders are not leading empathetically. We're hearing a lot of kind of pushback that they're not listening to the needs of their people. And we're switching to hybrid, and we don't really have team contracts in place. So people don't know what are the expectations around communication, around when we're online and how we're working. And we've also got a big burnout issue. So we want to talk with you about how can we tackle stress and burnout across the entire organization. And our women's group or our Black group or whichever ERG you're working with specifically, or all of our ERGs in general, have become kind of the front line of our DEIB efforts. And we want to make sure those leaders are trained and ready to lead their ERGs, and that we're helping support them create programming across those ERGs to support the full person. I would say, great, Odette, let's do a 3-part manager series that looks at how to lead empathetically, thinking about active listening as opposed to reactive, thinking about widening the empathetic lens and understanding, and moving into how they communicate with their team. Then we're going to bring in a hybrid expert who's going to work with your teams on how to think about meetings, how to think about team contracts, how to think about remote allyship and advocacy in a remote world. And then we're going to do an ERG leader training for all of your ERG leads. That's a 4-part series. And we're going to do quarterly programming across your ERGs. So I listen to your challenge, or our team listens to your challenges, and then we customize that series of programming that is compounding and ongoing across it. So we're creating the content for you. What we often hear from our partners is, you guys are a get stuff done partner. We've known we got to do this. We've known we've got to do A, B, and C. We just don't have the time, the bandwidth, or the resources to get it done internally. So they turn to us to complement what they're doing internally, to execute on getting done the different conversations, the different focus on the pain points for them so that they can continue to grow. Sometimes that may look like focusing on a specific challenge like burnout. Sometimes it might look like a population like your managers. And sometimes it might be an experience like isolation or remote work that we're all experiencing together. Does that help clarify it?
Yes. And how many are on your team?
Yeah, great question. We have about 350 experts we work with across our network, constantly expanding a network of that. As you can imagine, the challenges, part of our goal is to see around the corners for you, to understand what's coming. So we host, for example, an ERG leaders roundtable with ERG leads. Last one we had was 2 weeks ago, and we had about 50 companies representing around 5 million employees on it. We also work with our experts to understand what's coming. So all of those experts help us understand what are the big challenges in the future of work. Then we have an internal team at Kunik. So those are all 1099s. We have an internal team at Kunik of about 10, both part-time and full-time, who every client that we work with, every partner, has a dedicated Kunik coordinator who is their client success, who works with you on every single event. So every time we host, we call them Kunik conversations. We use that word really intentionally. They are dialogues, not monologues. There is no death by PowerPoint. We are getting your people talking with each other. We are creating a safe space. And all of that is backstopped by an expert who's providing that practical, actionable guidance that goes along with that engagement. So every time it's hosted by the exact same person from Kunik, so that they get to know your people and can continue to iterate with you, continue to co-collaborate and co-create these solutions.
Got it. And I just have one more question before we finish.
Yeah.
How is it received by the employees? Because this is kind of going back to the roots, old school, and not necessarily on your phone or an app or anything like that. So how is it received by people?
So I will be very honest with you. That was our biggest concern. And it has been the biggest success of our company, is going back to the old school. People want to talk. The whole core of culture is talking to each other. Everything about the future of work is built on trust across teams, and we cannot have trust if we don't know each other. And that means being vulnerable. That means telling you all, I'm currently in New York. I live in Miami. Somebody else is presenting from Miami. 10 minutes before I got up here on stage, my husband texted me that our youngest fell out of the crib, and I was just crying in the bathroom because she's never fallen out of her crib, and he had to call the pediatrician, and I'm here, and I feel like a terrible mother because I'm here competing in this and going to a conference on culture tomorrow. And if I can't share that kind of information with my team, how are we ever going to work through our challenges together? How are we going to understand each other's skills and strengths to build a strong team? And so that has been by far the biggest success. And the data backs it up. We have our NPS across hundreds of conversations is a 75. If you're not familiar with Net Promoter Score, a good Net Promoter Score is 20, an excellent Net Promoter Score is 40, 75 is off the charts. When we work in cohorts, so meaning one specific population, new managers, new hires, new parents, our NPS is 91. And then we measure engagement, 98, actionable, practicable advice, 93. And the number I'm most proud of, but is actually our lowest, is 85%. And that is 85% across every single conversation have felt more connected and more understood by their peers based on that one single conversation. So if you consider multiplying that out across multiple conversations, imagine how much more connected people feel to each other.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, we'll let the judges take notes. And Liz, we do appreciate you being with us here today, and even more after sharing that story, being away from family. So how can people get in touch with you and learn more about QNIC?
Yeah, Josh, my co-founder who you all saw in the video, he is over on the Hopin platform. So I'm sure he's putting links furiously into the chat right now. But we're also at getqnic.com. And we do write a weekly newsletter, which we are proud to say was actually honored and featured as the top newsletter on LinkedIn. So you all can subscribe to that on LinkedIn. And we share kind of front row perspective to what's happening in the future of work and work-life integration. I share a lot of personal information, but a lot of information that we're hearing from conferences and across the board. So we'd love to have you all subscribe and read with us.
Love it. Thank you so much, Liz, for being with us today. And let's see, that basically completes the round of pitches. Let's give all of the competitors a round of applause. Thank you so much. That was great. I loved every presentation, and judges too. Like, I think you did a great job with the questions. I loved it. So now what happens is the judges will deliberate on the pitches you just saw. In the meantime, please go and check out our talent conference that is right around the corner, is happening in Denver, Colorado. My colleague Adrina is going to be sharing the link on the Hopin. Also check out our Knowledge Center virtual booth for more information about this awesome benefit that SHRM members have access to. Again, you can find this on Hopin, and let us know, vote for your favorite pitch tonight, and let us know which one you think is the best, again, on the poll on Hopin. So we'll be back shortly with a decision. Just give us 10 minutes or so to deliberate, but we'll be back.
We are standing on the precipice of a new future. Never before have so many workplace challenges been present. But with each challenge comes opportunity. A chance to disrupt what was and create what will be. Now, more than ever, the time is now for HR to lead workplace innovation. And innovation is the key reason why SHRM launched the first ever Better Workplaces Challenge Cup. Earlier this year, we put out a call for workplace innovators solving the most pressing workplace challenges. Over 150 teams of entrepreneurs answered the call and competed in 17 local rounds that were co-hosted with SHRM chapters nationwide. Judge panels made up of SHRM volunteers selected the top 3 pitches from each local round to advance to the regional semifinals. The 5 regional winners competed in the finals event held at this year's annual conference.
Innovation, at the end of the day, is critical if we intend to reset, rethink, reimagine HR. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Damon John.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being in HR.
From all of these impressive presentations, only 2 innovators remain.
The 2 finalists will be Simba, and the next one is Compt.
And the winner of SHRM's 2021 and first ever Better Workplaces Challenge Cup is
Compt. Oh my God.
We work. That's what we do.
We get up and get at it because our work defines us.
What do I aspire to be?
This is my break, what I've been working so hard for.
I have big dreams for myself. I know what I want for my career and my family.
I want to know that what I do matters.
I want to be better than I was yesterday.
It's a small business, but my employees and their families rely on us to succeed.
Beyond our sense of self.
Our work is life.
It's entry level, but I'm going to prove I have something to offer.
This is my chance to build a career.
So close to that down payment. These college fees are stacking up. Gotta ask for that raise.
I have to start putting more aside for retirement.
As HR professionals, we impact all of this.
What we do matters.
SHRM is an organization that represents some 300,000 HR professionals across the globe. But most importantly, we touch and affect, influence the lives of 100 million workers every day. You can't find a CEO today who is not talking about people and people issues.
And what we're for is safe and dignified workplaces for everyone.
Every profession.
Every day.
All around the world.
HR is there.
My work gives me confidence.
My work gives me hope. I can provide for my family.
My kids will have things I never had. I enjoy giving back to my community.
I have a sense of my own value.
I am finally an expert at something.
I want to instill a work ethic in my kids.
Take care of my folks.
I want to make a contribution to this world.
I love HR.
It's the most human profession.
My work gives me purpose.
My role in HR gives me pride.
HR matters.
HR is an opportunity to change lives.
What kind of world
will you create?
In one of the most challenging years our businesses have ever witnessed, SHRM Research was there every step to answer your toughest workplace questions. This was possible because SHRM members like you provided real-time insights to our team of researchers. We wanted to take time to share some of our more surprising and noteworthy findings from this year.
COVID has had a devastating impact on businesses across the U.S., particularly small businesses, but many have proven resilient. SHRM research found that over 2 in 5 small businesses had started rethinking the way they do business, and a third had found a new way of delivering existing services due to COVID.
Over 1/3 of American workers reported that they don't feel comfortable discussing race at work. This perception differs along racial lines, with 45% of Black workers saying their workplace discourages discussions of racial injustice issues at work, compared to just 30% of white workers. Interestingly, 70% of HR professionals we interviewed said these discussions are okay at work. This is an opportunity for HR professionals and organizational leaders to guide employees to have thoughtful, civil, and respectful conversations about race and create workplaces where everyone feels included and can express their points of view.
Some of the benefits that employers adopted during COVID-19 might be here to stay. Over 2/3 of organizations, 68%, said they would probably or definitely adopt broader or more flexible work-from-home policies for all workers following the pandemic.
So much of this timely body of research wouldn't be possible without our members who share their everyday lived experiences at work. By participating in future studies, you can continue to help SHRM answer the most pressing questions that impact work, workers, and workplaces across the globe. Together, we can achieve our mission to create better workplaces for a better world.
Now that she's a manager, she's wondering, exactly how do I manage? She'll acquire the skills and confidence she needs with PMQ from SHRM, a self-paced, interactive, and entertaining learning journey. In every binge-worthy episode, managers face challenges, see the impact of their decisions, and test their growing skills with gamified assessments. Perform well, and they can earn the PMQ. Better managers create better workplaces. Pre-order SHRM's new People Manager qualification now. Now that she's a manager, she's wondering, exactly how do I manage? She'll acquire the skills and confidence she needs with PMQ from SHRM, a self-paced, interactive, and entertaining learning journey. In every binge-worthy episode, managers face challenges, see the impact of their decisions, and test their growing skills with gamified assessments. Perform well, and they can earn the PMQ. Better managers create better workplaces. Pre-order SHRM's new People Manager qualification now.
We work. That's what we do.
We get up and get at it because our work defines us.
What do I aspire to be?
This is my break, what I've been working so hard for.
I have big dreams for myself. I know what I want for my career and my family.
I want to know that what I do matters.
I want to be better than I was yesterday.
It's a small business, but my employees and their families rely on us to succeed.
Beyond our sense of self.
Our work is life.
It's entry level, but I'm going to prove I have something to offer.
This is my chance to build a career.
So close to that down payment. These college fees are stacking up. Gotta ask for that raise.
I have to start putting more aside for retirement.
As HR professionals, we impact all of this.
What we do matters.
SHRM is an organization that represents some 300,000 HR professionals across the globe. But most importantly, we touch and affect, influence the lives of 100 million workers every day. You can't find a CEO today who is not talking about people and people issues.
And what we're for is safe and dignified workplaces for everyone.
Every profession.
Every day.
All around the world.
HR is there.
My work gives me confidence.
My work gives me hope. I can provide for my family.
My kids will have things I never had. I enjoy giving back to my community.
I have a sense of my own value.
I am finally an expert at something.
I want to instill a work ethic in my kids.
Take care of my folks.
I want to make a contribution to this world.
I love HR.
It's the most human profession.
My work gives me purpose.
My role in HR gives me pride.
HR matters.
HR is an opportunity to change lives.
What kind of world
will you create?
Welcome back, everyone. Again, I know I said 10 minutes, but it definitely took more than that because it was just super intense. We loved all of the companies. It was definitely a hard decision to make. Congratulations to everyone that competed today and presented. You all did a phenomenal job. We enjoyed listening to your solutions and the impact that you're making in the workplace. Unfortunately, only 2 companies will be moving forward and will compete in the semifinals of the 2022 Better Workplaces Challenge Cup. The winners for today's segment, drum roll, is Chezi and PTO Genius. Congratulations, major congrats. We look forward to your participation in the semifinals. Judges, any final words to our winners today? Jennifer?
Absolutely. Thank you both for your presentations. I believe they were both clear and concise. I think they also answered a lot of impact that we're currently seeing in our environment, particularly with Chezi. I think that the DEI aspect is really going to change, the way organizations see DEI in their organizations and being able to quantify that. As well as PTO Genius, that's a real issue in today's organization. So I think that what you provided is going to really impact employees.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Billy?
Yes, I would just like to, second that what Jennifer said, but more importantly, I just want to say thank you to everyone for presenting. Every one of you presented an amazing story to tell behind your business model, and so appreciate the opportunity to be able to have you pitch it to us. They were all great ideas, and I know that you all will go on to do extremely great and extraordinary things. So thank you again for allowing us the time to hear it and be the judges for it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Billy. Odette?
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who gave a pitch. It was so amazing. I felt like I was on TV and in a show giving my opinion. So I really, appreciate volunteering for this. And it was amazing. It was so many great, innovative ideas. Unfortunately, only 2 could make it. And, with the 2 that did, I feel like they are solid business plans. They are something that we could implement right now in our companies, especially for me, PTO, since Jennifer and I had mentioned that we barely take PTO. So this, we could go and push it to our executive team. But also with Shazy, inclusion so important, coming from a minority background. So I think this is a really great, it was a really great two winners that are going to really succeed.
Awesome. Well, thank you all again. Thank you to the judges. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the questions that you asked and for helping us select the winners for the competition. Thank you to all the participants that joined, that you put so much time in putting together their pitches, being present with us today. And thanks to everybody who's tuning in and Hopin and beyond. And also a special thanks out to my super rock star colleagues at SHRM Labs, Adrina and Trevor. They're doing their magic on the back end. Thank you all for making this happen. For our SHRM members, please note that this event does qualify for 2 PDCs toward your SHRM certification. The code is 22SRA. QF. We will display this code in a second. Next up, we will have our 5th segment on Tuesday. That's March 22nd. Please visit www.betterworkplaceschallengecop.com to stay informed and register to attend our upcoming events. We hope to see you then. Thanks, everyone, and have a great evening. Take care.